Rohan, do you think that Steve Wilks changing his location and being on the field is going to help the 49ers defense in this game?
Probably. I'm not the biggest fan of the move. The reason
Yeah.
being, I think the 49ers, my main reason for it is Steve Wilks in the offseason, he said himself, where is he most comfortable? He's most comfortable coaching from the booth. Shanahan himself as well said it, the other day,
Yeah,
how
I thought
he
that was
prefers
interesting.
the booth is the best spot to coach, and it's understandable. You see the entire, excuse me, you see the entire field, and you can coach from a bird's eye view. Personally, I've I've sat up in the press box at a lot of games here, covering college football, and I've also sat in the stands near the sidelines. I much prefer the view up in the press box, the bird's eye view where you can see everything.
The
I
whole
can
field.
understand it. I think that it's just clearer. You can see what's going on, where the placements are, and I think it probably allows you to process quicker. I think they made the move for a few reasons. One, I think the most important reason that a lot of people aren't talking about is to help Kyle Shanahan. I think Kyle Shanahan might have a bigger input on defense, and him having direct communication with Steve Wilks, I think, is going to be more capable when he's on the sidelines as well. And I think also you're going to see the more communication with the players. I don't know though how this move is going to go, just because personally I didn't think where Steve Wilks was a primary issue
No.
going into the bye. I thought that there were a lot of execution issues. I also thought that there were a lot of schematic issues, and I think both of those need to be fixed. I don't know if this move kind of solves it. Maybe the 49ers, are going to implement that and Wilks is on the sideline. And the reason that I'm maybe not as down on the move as I usually would think I would be is because I do believe the 49ers defense is going to turn it around in the second half. I think their issues are
I do
fixable.
too. I just don't think it's going to be because he's on the field, and
Right,
I think
I
it's going to be
agree, but
funny that people
people might
attribute it to
attribute it
that.
to that move because that's the change that they made. So I do think the 49ers defense is going to turn it around, but like you said, I just don't think it's going to be because of him moving from the boot to the sidelines. I don't know if it's going to hurt them. I just don't know if it's going to help them.
Yeah. Do you think that Steve Wilks would be here in 2024? Do you think that that's not like a statement you can make until you see the rest of the season play out? It seems like we haven't really seen as much in-house discussion like publicly. Like we've never seen Kyle Shanahan publicly kind of criticize a coordinator before. And we also saw Nick Bosa do something similar on Fred Warner's podcast. He kind of criticized the scheme. I just found it interesting that both players and Kyle Shanahan, even though he did kind of come out, he like clarified later on that it was on him. I just feel like I hadn't seen that much vocally, even if they felt like that inside. Like I think there's been times where I saw, I think it was Jesse Naylor put out a graphic that D'Amico Ryans had also scored a similar or allowed a similar amount of points at this or at this point in the season last year. So maybe there were like harsh conversations between Kyle and D'Amico or between Kyle and Shanahan. I just can't remember as a fan them being. It feels like this one is a lot more public. Like there seems to be a little bit of, I don't know, public humiliation or like this call for Steve Oaks to like take accountability in a way that feels kind of collegey and less NFL-y, or feels like maybe something you would see like on the Panthers or like a team that's doing poorly. Usually, like in well-run organizations that are being successful, you kind of feel like that stuff is kept indoors a little bit. Like I kind of think he only moved to the sideline because there was so much like, I mean, maybe maybe some of the players said something because I want to believe that they wouldn't make a move just because of like media outrage. But doesn't it kind of feel like that? Like it kind of feels like they're like, all right, well, we have to do something. Like everyone's mad and we're not doing well, and our secondary can't cover, our pass rush can't get home, our linebackers can't tackle, and we don't know how to fix it. So, and everyone's mad. I guess we'll just put them on the sideline and maybe that'll help. Like it seems like a lost move. Like it seems like I don't know how to fix what's going on and I don't know why this is going on. So I'm just going to do something and hope it works and maybe it does. I don't know. Does that vibe make sense to you? How do you feel about Steve Wilks' future with the 49ers and just the way that he's been discussed by the team?
I do think that there are serious conversations that'll be had in the offseason, because the main issue that I had with moving on in season was who are you going to replace him with? And I do think that Kyle Shanahan, will have certain conversations, but you need a viable candidate, likely one with some experience or someone that has a good rapport with Shanahan for him to be, involved. But I am curious to see one guy that I'm going to continue to keep my eye out on is Robert Saleh. Do the Jets move on from him after the way that the last few
Robert
seasons have
Saleh.
gone? If he moves on, if they move on, I do think he could get some head coaching interviews, but I also think that the perfect place for him would be back with San Francisco. He gets a year or two here, and then he can get another gig elsewhere if possible. But the vibe with Steve Wilks was like you're hoping that he can get a head coaching opportunity somewhere else in a year or two, and right now that just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. So we'll see. I do think though that there will be conversations about potentially finding a different person for the job, but I also think this year is going to be eye-opening to Kyle Shanahan in the way that he addresses the coordinator position and the way he handles it, because of the amount of change and issues that have gone along. He might look to handpick a different guy that better fits the team, regardless of experience and things like that. Just better fits what his vision for the team is. So we'll see, and curious to see definitely what happens there. But I do think that there will be conversations about potentially moving on in the offseason.
I agree. It seems like now in hindsight, the idea of getting a guy who doesn't call your or doesn't practice the scheme that you like, and then trying to get him to integrate everything you want, maybe wasn't the best idea. It seems like maybe letting either him call the play calls that he's the most familiar with and run the scheme that he's most familiar with, or getting a guy who does what you want to naturally might have been a better move in hindsight. Seems like learning on the job is a little bit overwhelming for Steve Wilks. I feel like they're going to give Robert Saleh another year, because isn't Aaron Rodgers going to come back?
Rodgers has another year. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah. So I
We'll
feel like
see.
they'll give him that. I mean, maybe not, because I've seen like Jet fans, and I feel like they put 49er fans to shame with like how upset they are. I'm like, come on, you guys are dealing with Zach Wilson. Like, you can only ask for so much. So yeah, I mean, you can't put anything past the Jets, and it would definitely be wonderful if Salah could come back. Although, I'm sure he would want another head coaching opportunity, but maybe not. Maybe like the Jets, maybe he's like, all right, I'm tired. I don't need this anymore. I just want to come home. I want to relax, be with my guys. That'd be nice.